Okay, stop. Sorry. Good evening. I'm late. Sorry, I'm late.
Rabbi Stein, is that enough of Ravos?
Haven't seen it yet. Thank you.
Tell Benny not to steal all your Ravos.
Yeah. Good luck to them trying to take all of it.
All right. So we're by the mishna, right? Did I freeze?
Yep.
I froze?
No.
Okay.
You're chewing like the rest of us, my man. You're chewing like the rest of us.
You had your champagne today?
It's really something, let me tell you.
Must be the hardest part of Philadelphia, no?
I'm petrified to drink my little cans of Bartanura now.
Not in front of Aaron. You better not do it in front of Aaron.
Don't worry, Parrish. I took care of Rabbi Aaron over Yom Tov. I had the special. He was eating by the balls. I walked over special by dessert, and I brought him Bartanura. Don't worry, I took care of it.
Oh, the can.
No, a can. Only Landau's manly enough to have a can. I can't have a can.
Exactly.
Hey, Lando, you can have some red wine. You come over.
That's too grown up for me.
Okay, yeah, you ready?
Does anyone like this?
Okay, so it's the mission.
It's a different type.
It's a little bit of a rough top. We'll try.
Now you froze.
Any votes?
You froze.
Now you stop chewing.
What?
So now you stop chewing. You froze.
Yeah.
It's hard to get the jokes if you're frozen.
It's true.
Am I frozen or did everything else just stop?
No, you're also frozen. We want you to stay frozen, Gershon.
Yeah, why is it that your cigarette's not going down in length?
It's tilted to Mahemnus, I think.
Did you decide while I was away what time tomorrow?
7:30.
We can do that.
Aaron Kaplan's place.
What?
Wait, what? Are you talking about Shear? 7:30?
No, we're joking.
He's joking. You don't get Paris.
What time did we start on Erev? What time?
10 to 6. 10 to 6. It was 10 to 6.
We did 5:45 this week already. You can see it posted. Check the post, but I'm pretty sure it's 5:45 this first. Share Friday, 5:45.
5:35.
45.
Okay, so we'll start 5:40. 5:40, yes? 5:40?
Okay.
All right, let's go. Yes, it's the Mishnah. I apologize for all this delay here. It's the Mishnah. Bechor. Shanafa lebar. So if you have a bechor that falls into a bar. Okay, so before we go weiter here, All right, so we need a little hakdama. So a bechor b'zman hazeh. What do you do with a bechor? So you're not allowed to shecht it unless it has a mum. So and then really it goes to a kohen, and the kohen can give it out to whoever he wants. So b'zman hazeh, what you basically do is you have to wait for, and you can't just decide on the mum yourself. You have to have a bezdin or an expert decide with whether it's a permanent mum or not. And then once that happens, then it goes to the kohen, and then you can give it out. So the question is, can you shecht a behemoth that has a mum on Yom Tif? Can you even check? Is it considered a psak to even check if there's a mum on?
Did you get a bechor shaila last year, Erev Yom Tov?
You have.
Yes, very good.
It wasn't a problem at the end.
Yeah, it wasn't a problem in the end, but yeah, that's why nowadays.
That was a shutfus thing, no?
Correct. So nowadays, what you do is, if you know that you're having a bechor, not a human bechor, an animal bechor. So what you do is you put a guy as a shutfus, and if the guy becomes a partner, then you don't have to do a bechor. So last year, what happened was somebody didn't do the shutfus. So that's a real headache because you can't benefit from the bechor at all, and you have to treat it with kid gloves. And you have to wait for it to get a mum, which could take a very long time. You're not allowed to put a mum into it, which will also
something happened that it wasn't a problem, right?
So it ended up not being a problem because when it got pregnant, it was owned by Goyim. So that was the end. But the bottom line is the reason why we don't hear from these bechor shalas nowadays is because, as Kahelis it says Chacham of braysa, and when you see that you're having a bechor, so then you get a guy involved, and then it's no problem. Right. So now you have this bechor that he didn't do this shtick. And it fell into a bar. So now, l'schar of a bechor fell into a bar, that's going to make it that it has a mum. Right? But you have to have it checked out. You can't just decide on your own. You have to have it checked out.
And what was the purpose of checking it on Yom Tov?
Then you can shecht it.
You have to check that animal?
No, but why not?
And if it doesn't have a mum, can you get it out of the pit, or you have to leave it in the pit?
Well, we'll see. So bechor shenaf al bar. So if you have a bechor that fell into a bar, you yered mumcha v'yira, a mumcha can go down into the bar and see, and then im yesh by mum on Talmud Aleph now im yesh by mum yalav yishchet. If there's a mum, then you can bring up the animal and shecht it. Right? Vim lav la yishchet, and if not, then you can't shecht it. So when Rashi says because Rabbi Yehuda holds a muktza, right? So since if it had a mum on it. And this mum had to have happened before Yom Tov, which we're going to see in the Gemara. Because if it happened on Yom Tov, then it's muktza, because it wasn't prepared to be eaten. Right? So then that's what we're saying. If the mum is not prepared, I mean, whatever, it's not, it wasn't recognized, then that's not called minamuchan, and you're not allowed to have it. Now, this Rashi says, a fascinating Rashi. Rashi says it's not because of muktza. That's not the issue. Right? Because Reb Shimon, we know, doesn't hold a muktza. Right? So the reason is because it's going to require a psak. Right? It's going to require a psak. So therefore, you're not allowed to paskin. We're not allowed to sit in Bezdin on Yom Tif. Bezdin doesn't sit on Yom Tif. So since it's going to require a psak on the animal, and that's not allowed. That's what Reb Shimon holds.
On Shabbos?
Oh, so I wasn't going to bring this up, but I was listening. I was in the car today for a little bit. So I was listening to Rabbi, what's the name? Shir, one of the Magidei Shir, Rabbi Razner. And he brought up a Taz and a Karban Nesano that says, how do you paskin a Shaila on Yom Tif?
Yaakov, you should publicize that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, ask questions.
And then we should do a gazelle.
Well, without a phone, it's probably very few shilas.
It's much less, but there's always.
No, I'm sure he's got. I'm sure he's got.
Yaakov Shmuel David Spear, and I obviously never walked with you on the street on Yom Tif.
Yeah, go for it. That's what I was saying.
I did not. That is correct.
Go for a walk.
You know how many shilas he has? He'll just ask Liner. It's mostly his.
Terrible. Landau, it's a Hoshana Rabbah.
Leil Hoshana Rabbah.
I think if Rabbi Yaakov would publicize such a thing, he'd be too tempted to publicize the Chalamayid as a Din Yom Tov also.
There you go. Very good. Very good. So anyway, so he brings down the Taz. The Taz brings out maybe Taka, you shouldn't be able to paskin a Shiloh, but it would have to be that the Shiloh was there from before Yom Tov. What, am I the only guy without a cigar tonight? What? Is there a thing on Hoshana Rabbah to have cigars?
We can bring you one.
Just didn't want to be left out.
I hear. All right.
I have an extra one right here.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so
Got your name on it.
so the Korban Nesanel says it's not the same. It's not the same. It's saying a psak is not the same, but I don't remember now what it was. Well, Mamish, the oil was fully loaded.
Yeah. Quick question. Lav, Yesh Mom Yala. You can bring it up Yishchai. Lav Lo Yishchai. What about Yala?
What? Of course not Yala.
So you have to leave it in the.
Yeah.
That's how
What we're going to see. Right. So we're going to see in the Gemara. Naftali must have got a good night's sleep last night. He's asking good kashas over here next to me. Okay. Well, he says he slept an hour and a half, so maybe that's what he needs to do. All right. So Zog the Gemara. So, but my kamiflagi, what's the Machlokes to Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon? If the whole Machlokes is whether you should look at Mumin, like we just said, meaning, according to Rabbi Shimon, you're not supposed to look at Mumin because it's a psak, right? So Rabbi Yehuda saw Ryan Mumin b'yamtiv, Rabbi Shimon saw Ryan Mumin b'yamtiv. Rabbi Yehuda says you can look at Mumin on Yom, Rabbi Shimon says you can't because you can't pass it. You live like Ryan Mumin da'alma. So why do you have to come up with this whole intricate example of a behemoth falling into the bar? Just have a machlokes whether you're allowed to check for a mum on Yom Tov.
Is there an issue? Is there an issue if the expert is coming to paskin? The expert's going to have to touch the animal, which is muktza.
Well, touching would only be a problem of moving.
Right. So what's the chance of the animal not moving?
You're saying that he's going to have to.
It should be that you can't paskin based on the fact that you might come to move the animal.
Right.
There won't worse be a suffix.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I hear that, Rabbi.
That's
This would at worst be a suffix. Because moving this animal would be mutter, because if shchita is mutter, then it's going to be mutter to move it. It's not going to be mutter.
Right. So it could be.
Well, shchita is mutter for the owner.
Right, so it could be that the guy had his das. We're going to see the rest of the Amud, Dovi. It's good. It's a good question because we're going to see the rest of the Amud. Did he have das on this? Did he not have das on this? So let's see. So Gemara says, no, we need to say the case of bechor falling into the bar. You got to be kidding. Helicopter.
Yeah. We're outside the sukkah. We're hearing the helicopter loud.
Yeah.
Someone fall asleep in your car again?
Talking about with the helicopter. It's funny. Like when was there a helicopter floating around your neighborhood up Beach 9th Street, right? Wasn't near me. All of a sudden I start getting shilas. It's a mitzvah if there's a helicopter flying over your head and they're looking for a crook. From people from Inwood and all that. So I don't know. Somebody was on the phone and said, there's a helicopter flying. He said, how do you know? I said, I get the same way I know all the other information. Right? When it starts, I know when I'm upstate, it's thundering, lightning, and farag. When they start getting thunder, lightning, shilas. Right? Getting back to the whole Yom Tov thing. But either way. So, okay, let's hope they're not looking for somebody and it's a one-time thing. So anyway, bechor shenav al bar, it's richale. It's a bechor that fell into the bar. We need that case. Why sakid? I don't mean mishum tzar b'alei chayim, like Naftali said. Maybe because this tzar b'alei chayim larim v'liskes to do a harama and get the animal up, Kareb Yeshua, right? Even though you don't know whether it has a mum or not, kamash malan, that we don't do the harama even for tzar b'alei chayim. Now, what's the harama? We had this before, and we're going to have it in Daf Lamed Zayin. Is that if you have an animal and it's a mother and a child of animals, which we know Oisay v'Esbenoi, you're not allowed to shecht a parent, a mother and a child, animals on the same day.
That's a puzzle. Right?
Correct. So you have them both in a bar. So you can pull a shtick and pull one out and say, "Oh, I don't want this one," and then pull out the other one and then decide which one you want to shecht. Right? So you would think you could do some sort of harama in this and get the animal up. Kamashon, the mishna is telling you that you cannot do the harama. So Gemara says, when the Mishnah says you're not allowed to shecht it, it should say that you're not allowed to take it out of the bar and shecht it. It's not just about just shechting it. No, so leitzricha da'avar v'haske. Talking about where you were over and you brought the thing out of you brought the animal out of the bar. you would think that you could shecht it because you already brought it up, so you might as well shecht it. Kamashvalan, that you're not allowed to shecht it. The Gemara says, Lishchatei hatamhu. It's a tam. You're not allowed to shecht the tam. Again, a bechor, the only time you're allowed to shecht is once it gets a mum. So how can you know it's a tam? Let's hear the nafal be mum. No, it's talking about that it had a mum. Okay, so for muktza, there was a dovi's kasha. It's muktza.
No, it said Yal V'Yishchayt if it had a mum.
What?
The Mishnah said Yal V'Yishchayt if it had a mum.
The Mishnah said.
Im yesh bo mum Yal V'Yishchayt. You could shecht it.
No, but this is talking about when you didn't.
It just
The
said it had
mum
a mum.
happened afterwards, right?
Oh, this
Right?
fell down. You picked it
Yes.
up without checking, and
Yes.
and then what? Then it didn't have a mum, and then it got a
No.
mum 5 minutes later.
Yes. Yeah. So what it says v'ham muksa, but it would be muksa because you had no das to shecht it, right? So how would you be havamina that you would be able to shecht it? So ella the novel be mum over may erev yomtiv. So here case the Mishnah is talking about where an erev yomtiv had a mum, but the mum was going to pass, meaning it was going to a temporary mum. Yeah. V'hashta havale mum kavua, and now it got a mum kavua. Mao the same, meaning on Yom Tov it got a mum kavua. Mao the same as the daiti love v'nishchate. You would think that your das was on it, and then memeli you could shecht it. Meaning the guy was hoping that it had a temporary mum, and then after the temporary mum, it's gonna turn into a permanent mum, and then memeli had that in his das, and therefore he's able to shecht it. Kamash malan. That even so, you're not allowed to shecht it. So that's the chiddush of the Mishnah. So it comes out that the Mishnah is talking about a very specific case where it had a temporary mum, and then it developed into I don't know if it developed or it got a different mum. I'm not sure which one it is, but whatever it is, it was a temporary mum, and then it went into a more permanent mum, and therefore you would thought that it's not considered muktza kamash malan. If it's not a mum kavu from erev Yom Tov, then it's not allowed. Yeah. Fine. Bechor tam shenofel lebar. If you have a bechor tam that fell into a bar, you yudan nasi yomer yerid mumcha v'yira and yesh mum yala v'yishchayt. Right? Mumcha should go down into the bar. If he sees a mum, he should get up and shecht it. Vim lav lo yishchayt. And if it does not have a mum, then lo yishchayt. Then you can't shecht it. Now obviously we're talking about lo yishchayt as if you're talking about where they took it out of the bar. If you didn't take it out of the bar, so what are you going to do with it anyways? But didn't we say that we don't look at mumin on Yom Tiv? Right? Ketzad, what's the case? Yeah. Noilad by mumin of Yom Tiv. If it had a mumin of Yom Tiv, you're not allowed to check it on Yom Tiv. Right? And if you did, then it would be okay. Meaning, but you shouldn't check it. But noilad by mum be Yom Tiv, now to number base, if there was a mum that fell onto it on Yom Tiv, it's not considered mukhan, right? Meaning emamela, you can't use it even if you checked it and found that there was a mum because you never had the das in it. The mum happened to it on Yom Tiv. Meaning again, just to clarify, if the mum didn't happen to it before Yom Tiv, then you did not have in your mind that you were ever going to use this animal on Yom Tiv. So all of a sudden it gets a mum on Yom Tiv, it's muktza, so you can't shecht it. But for Shavin, shim noilad hu umumay imay. But if the bechor was born with a mum, shazem min amuchan, that is considered min amuchan. Why? Because I would say it's grandfathered in, but that no pun intended. Meaning because the mother could have been shechted. So mainly the kid goes with it. Yeah, fine. So Dorosh Rabba.
Why is it ain't mevakrin? Why ain't mevakrin be Yom Tov? It already had a mum before Yom Tov. Why ain't mevakrin?
No, but you
be
didn't.
Yom Tov?
What?
Well, the halach, the original, ain't mevakrin they say be Yom Tov. Why?
I thought it's just al din.
You know it has a mum. Why can't? What am I gaining? What am I don't know why not?
Because lechatchila, you don't want to start with paskening. Same way that we don't sit in the
Oh,
din.
this is the psak thing. Sorry. Yeah.
That's what I think. But if they did it, if you did get a psak, then it's going to be okay. Right? Yeah, so let's see. Right. There's a Darash Rabba Rav Huna Noilad Hu Umuma Yimim Mevakanus B'Yantav lechatchila. So Rabba Rav Huna says if it was born, then it's the same. And then you're allowed to. If it was born with the mum, you're allowed to be mevakar lechatchila.
Was it was born on Yontif?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Amarli Rav Nachman Abba Tani. Abba learned im Avar Bakar Mevukar. My father said, what do you say?
When's he? It was born with Yontif. When's he shechting?
That Yontif.
Doesn't have to be 8 days old.
Taka. What we do with that?
We have to wait 8 days.
Yeah,
Okay. What the?
we did learn that.
We
learned it on the daf. Yes, we did.
did?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes.
How many
Right.
people remember that besides Aaron? Rev Aaron.
Was that Me'ikar Adin or was that
Is that only for karbonis or is it only? No, I thought it's for regular animals too.
No, it's all animals.
Yeah, it wasn't just karbonis.
But was that a Me'ikar Adin? If a person does it, is he over anything? I don't think it's allowed to do that.
Why couldn't it
Maybe-
have been born before?
What do you mean? It was born before. Means it was considered mukhan.
It was born 8 days
Does it
before
mean-
on this with a temporary move.
I hear. Does it mean maybe that he checked it without, and then you're not shechting it? Stam, you want to shecht it on Yom Tiv? I mean, you want to just check it on Yom Tiv without shechting it? Could that be?
Oh, but then it would be muktza. Oh, it's for Shimon. Wait, then you're not gaining anything.
You're not gaining anything, but that could be. But that's the din. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good kasha.
Maybe the Sfardim have a different time for shafting. I don't know. I can only tell you that when my shver living in Mexico, it was a big problem. The Sfardim was shafting the kelbach early, and he would not touch it.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. I mean, I know nothing. But I can just tell you, he did not eat calf.
I hear. I don't know. I'll have to work on that. That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, Rashi says befir sheshachta lechatchila, mavukar v'shachta lechatchila.
And he
Okay,
also
so let's
says in
see, Vaz.
Beshavin that it was born that day. Shemleilad hayoim.
Were you quoting now?
Rashi
Rashi?
Beshavin. Yeah.
Right.
Shemleilad hayoim umuma yimai.
I hear. I don't know, Taka. I don't know, Rabban, I'm not sure. It's a good
Okay.
question. Very good. Shkoyach. Okay, so I'll have to look into that. So, Amar le Rav Nachman, Abatonim over Rabakar Mevukar, Vatam Rabakar Noisel lechatchila. Says if you were over and you checked it out, then it's fine. And you're saying that you can do a lechatchila? Amar Rabbi comes say the Rav Barav Huna Mistavra, the Ketani Tlasabavi. It makes more sense to go with Rabbi Barav Huna, who says that you can even do a lechatchila. Why? Because there's 3 cases. Noilad by mum erev Yom Tiv, ein mevaka noiza by Yom Tiv. If it gets a mum on erev Yom Tiv, you're not allowed to check it on Yom Tiv. Lechatchila hu delay. That's only lechatchila. Hadi evet shabardami. But if you did, it's fine. Noilad by mum by Yom Tiv. This is that's the first case. That's if it's noilad mum by erev Yom Tiv, then you're not allowed to check it. Lechatchila. But the evet yes. Noilad by mum by Yom Tiv. That's the second case. The mum happened on Yom Tiv. Shimon Aimer ain't zemin amuchan dafilu di eben nama. That's not considered muchan, and even b'di evet, you're not allowed to. And then it said a third case, v'shav and shimnayla no mumay imay. If it's born with a mum, shezemin amuchan dafilu lechatchila nami. That even lechatchila also.
What do you mean? What's the issue? It's not muktza.
It is muktza.
Shimon doesn't hold the muktza.
What? Shezem min amuchan. Where Shimon holds of the major muktza.
This one he holds it.
Yeah. Naila. Yes. So when it says v'haki asa Rav Aishia asa he asa v'aisi masnisa b'yadeh, and when Rav Aishia came, he came with a braysa in his hand. Beishanal b'mum erev yom beishanal b'mum b'yomtiv chachamim ayrim ein zeh min amuchan. Right. So the chachamim say it's not min amuchan. Right. So you can't bring a proof from a baya because you see that they said that both Erev Yom Tov and Yom Tov is not a mukum. El vel kasha hachs, and now you have a kasha from this. Meaning, what are you going to do with this braysa? He Ada bar Uchmi. Another interesting thing. That braysa is Ada bar Uchmi. The mishavish v'tani. He was not an accurate source for braysas. Right? It's an interesting thing. So
There's another one for Aaron too. Uchmi is black, isn't it?
Uchmi is black, yeah.
Adabar Uchmi was black, so he was mishabish prices.
It was, I hear. Okay, very good. So whatever it is, so that source of the braysa was no good. Which is quite interesting that this braysa, we say, oh, that was from a bad source. It's very rare that the Gemara does that. Yeah? Okay. Some of Nachman by Yitzchak Masnisa Nami Deka. Our mission is also meduyik like that. Right? Like the braysa. If it's mum is not nicker from yontiv, that's not called muchan. My ain mumay nicker. What does it mean? It's mum is not nicker. If you say that it's mum is not nicker at all, pshita, right? Do I need to say that? Must be talking about where you just didn't show it to the chacham and Erev Yom Tov. Imam kavuahu, imam iver. And to know whether this was a permanent mum or a temporary mum. So whatever it is, you see that that's not considered muchan, right? Meaning, even though the mum was there, it's still not considered muchan, even according to Shimon.
Shouldn't I
know? So therefore we hope from this that it's that Reb Shimon holds that you're not allowed to use the bechor even b'diavad. What do you say?
If you're not afraid that Bahem's going to die, isn't it? All of these shalos are davish matir, and like, what are they? You eat it the day after Yom Tov. The bechor, the fact that it was a bechor doesn't come into play because you're going to shecht it. So it's obviously it's losing its bechor status anyway. But if you're not afraid that the balabas is going to lose his money, then it's a dov sheish lematirin.
I'll tell you, but it's a suffix. It's a dov sheish lematirin. So why should we allow it?
Yeah. And obviously not the case we think it's going to die. I mean, then
right. No, but the dov sheish lematirin is usually in a case where it's a suffix. So why should we have it? Here, it's not a suffix. It's just a matter of technically whether we're going to allow it. See, normally when you have a suffix, so then why should you get yourself involved in the suffix? It's not a why should you get involved? Here, it's not a suffix. It's just a matter of is it muktza, is it not muktza? So you want to extend it and say maybe why should I get involved in muktza? Just use a different animal.
Gemara started with the whole thing. You don't paskin on yontif. So right. We have summarized that you do paskin on yontif. You said the taz, so you don't need more right in that. But the Gemara was talking about where you don't paskin on yontif, so don't paskin and get with davishesh material.
I hear, but I'm not so sure if you would say that in this case, davishesh material, because it's not a suffix. It's just a shiloh, whether it's muktza or not. Yeah, I think. David, you want to say something?
Yeah, if there was a mum before Yontif, he didn't show it to a chacham. Okay, and what happens if I don't get a haircut before Yontif? Now I can take one on Chol HaMoed? No, because you're supposed to take one before Yontif, and if you didn't take one, so now you can't take one on Chol HaMoed. So if I didn't show it to a chacham, okay, but you have to. I didn't do my job. It's a checklist of what you have to do before yontif. One of them is if my bechor has a blemish, has a mum, so I got to check it by a chacham.
So I understand. So what are you saying?
No, why is it okay that I didn't check it, that I didn't show it to a chacham? If I didn't show it to a chacham,
and a chanami, isn't that what he's saying? That if it was a mum from Erev Yom Tif, so then that's it. So you should have shown it to a chacham. It's the mameli you didn't, so it's not mucha. I think. Yeah.
Is this
I think so.
is this Gemara talking about when there's kayanim around, or bisman hazeh when we don't give it to the kayanim?
I thought bisman hazeh.
It's all right. Can we extrapolate from this that unripe fruit becomes ripe on Yom Tov should be aser?
Yeah, 100%.
Because einim and amucha.
Yeah, it's mamash the next sugya. The Gemara is gonna bring it up. Yeah, very good. The Gemara is gonna bring it up. Let's see. So now the Gemara goes up with a different shaila, and then it's gonna come back to from our sugya. But Bamine, yeah, mamash halfway down, a little bit more than halfway down. Bamine, this is also a very interesting thing. Hillel asked the shaila from Rava. Now, the little bit of history that I know, Hillel cannot be asking shailas from Rava. Right, Rava was a good while after Hillel.
It's right? Hillel HaKotten.
Sauce, right? So I don't know if it's still even a Hillel HaKotten.
It doesn't help. Rava was a Basra, one of the later Amiroim.
Right.
They're
so
both
the Moira Hill acquired of Rava.
Right. So look at the Bach. That little base there says it was Rav Hillel. It's not a Hillel. It's Rav Hillel. Right. Whenever the Gemara uses Rav, that's referring to an Amoira. And Dovi is the resident historian over here.
Because the Hillel that wrote the calendar that we have was the same generation as Rav and Abaye as well. He was the last generation of
right, the Hillel, right. So that could be this is that Hillel.
That's what I was thinking. But he's not known as Rav Hillel, it's Hillel HaKotten.
So I don't know. Maybe
So
that would be interesting.
So Dovi, now you're arguing with the Bach. Yes, one good child.
No,
now you're already arguing with the Bach.
No, he's actually it could be had two names. He could be had two names, you know. He had his legal.
Maybe it's Rav Dovi. It's Rav Dovi, and we're good.
Okay, fine. Very good.
Itaka Dovi, that would be an interesting zach if this is that Hillel, right?
Right.
Whatever it is, it's not Hillel Azakin, that's for sure. Right? So that's he's saying it's Rav Hillel, which is quite interesting. So the Tanoim, we call them Hillel, and the ones that come hundreds of years later, we call them Rav Hillel. Right?
So call them up now. And what do you call them? You have 3 lines to give a guy bracha and a chasana. No.
Yeah. Right. Which God was it?
Get out of Dovi. I think
the
Goysa Bach is trying to get out of what I think he's trying to say B'dafka that it was not El Lakot. He also changed it from Rabba to Rabba. It was the generation before.
Rabbi Aaron, when he filled out his tax returns, he used one name.
Don't project. You don't gain things by projecting. You know.
What was isn't that Maisa one of the Gedolim? I forgot which one who said. Maybe somebody knows that when he was learning the most out bechor, he was just by his first name. Then he got married and he learned a little less. So then he became Reb. Then he got a job as a rabbi or something. He became Harav when he learned even less. And then by the time he became Harav Hagoyin Hatzadik, he hardly learned the Jewish word. Right? I don't know, one of the Gedolim. Right? The less he learned, the more titles he got. Right? Fine. Okay, but anyway, so boy minei Rav Hillel me Rava. Yesh muktza lechatzi Shabbos or ain't muktza lechatzi Shabbos? Is there considered muktza for half Shabbos or not? Meaning, what is this here? So normally we know that if something's muktza ben hashmashas, then it's muktza the whole Shabbos automatically. It can't lose its muktza status. That's called migud is katzayla ben hashmashas. It's katzayla kula yom. Right, so it's muktza ben hashmashas. It's muktza for the whole Shabbos. Here we're talking about where it was not muktzah for half of Shabbos, and half is obviously not specifically half, right? So in the beginning of Shabbos, it wasn't muktzah. Then it became muktzah, and then it loses its muktzah status. Does it maintain? Meaning, does something once it becomes muktzah, does it stay muktzah for the rest of Shabbos, even if it loses its muktzah status? Let's see what this says. Again, what's the case? If it was muktza, meaning if it grabbed onto it, meaning if it wasn't muktza, meaning it was roy. I said I'll grab on. I meant roy. If it's roy chazi, if it's roy ben hashmashas, so then it's kosher. It's kosher. It's not muktza the whole Shabbos. The eid loyachsi. No, so Gemara says loytricha the achsi, where it was roy. V'hadar idchi, meaning ben hashmashas, it was not muktza. Then it became dachi, became muktza. V'hadar achsi, and then it became not muktza again. Mai. So what's the din? Amar Lois, he said yesh muktza. No, once it becomes Shabbos, then once it becomes muktza on Shabbos, it maintains its muktza status. So that's where now this is where our Gemara is going to come in. Ace, they ask the kasha, the shavan shim noilan umuma iboy, that if it's born, the animal's born with a mum, shazem in amuchan, that's considered muchan. Why is it muchan? Name a high bechor meikara havachazi agav ime. By ben hashmashas of Yom Tiv, you could have eaten this animal because its mother was, he could have had it in his mind that he's going to shech the mother, and then Mamela, the fetus would be okay. It's yalele, once it became born, it got pushed off because now it's muktza because it was because it was a bechor, right? So you can't shecht it until you have it looked at. And then if you show it to a chacham on Yom Tiv, then it becomes mutter. Right, but what do you mean? Once it became muktza, it's supposed to stay muktza for the rest of Shabbos. So clearly, our mishna is a braysa saying that if something can become muktza and then lose its muktza status on halfway through Shabbos or Yom Tov. Yeah, so that's again, we're asking if something's not muktza Friday night, becomes muktza Shabbos morning, for example, and then becomes not muktza again. And Shabbos afternoon, does it stay muktza? So bringing a raya from our mishna, our braysa, that the animal starts off not muktza, then becomes muktza, and then if a chacham looks at it and it says there's a mum, then it becomes not muktza again. So you see that you can fluctuate. So going to Yasvi Dayani Hasan. Another interesting case, right? Somewhere where the Dayanim was sitting there when the baby gave birth. The baby, I'm saying, an animal gave birth. So there was never a time, it was never muktza. Yeah. Meaning the second it came out, they saw it. Okay, I can't say I fully understand this case, because what happens if it came out head first and the mum was in the leg? So when they looked at it, they said, okay, no mum, looks pretty good. No mum. Then it became a mum. So there was a few seconds, maybe not. Maybe you look at it that it's not its own separate entity till it's full.
As long as part
of
of it's still in the mother, it's not a ben bechor. It's still inside.
I don't know. If with the majority, that's a different issue. With the majority, yeah.
So we pass can even one leg is still inside. It's still.
I don't know. I wasn't sure if we go with the majority or not. Okay, whatever it is, but the Dayanim have to be sitting there. Ikadamri, Amrlay said Ikadamri is the same Gemara, just the opposite. Ikadamri, Amrlay ain't muktza lechatzi Shabbos. There's no such thing as muktza lechatzi Shabbos. Yeah? Let's say this, then let's say the braysa is a proof. That if it was born with a mum, shazem and amuchan, that it's muchan. In the beginning of Shabbos, it was not muktza because its mother could have been shechted. It's yalele, once it's born, itchile gets pushed off. Once you show it to a chacham, it's mutter. So you see that that it could. I'm sorry, that's a proof. That's a proof. So I'm going to Yasvi Dani Hasam. It's not a proof because maybe the Dayanim was sitting there and it never became muktza. So therefore, it's not a proof. Fine. So now we continue with the sugi of Chatzi Shabbos. Is there such a thing as muktza b'half Shabbos? If it's somebody who's eating grapes v'haiser and he had leftovers, and he put it up the roof, lasses meant smukin to make raisins out of it. Right? So he's sitting and eating grapes. He says, "Oh, I got all these extra grapes. Let me go put it up on the roof, and then it'll dry out, and I have raisins." B'teinim, if he has figs, v'haiser to make dried figs. You're not allowed to eat them if they become raisins. You're not allowed to eat them until he was mazmin from Erev Shabbos, right? V'chein atamoitzi b'farsakin u'b'chavushin. Our farsakin is peaches. I think so. V'chavushin is
Quince. Peaches and
quince.
quince.
Yeah, so I don't know what is that. I have no idea. What's a quince? I think we discussed it.
Quince looks like a very big S-ring, actually. It's that kind of shape. It doesn't have the point like S-ring, but it looks like the. I think Gemara someplace thought the quince was kosher for S-ring. So.
Wow, that must be where we had it, Taka.
Yeah,
it's a non-aerodynamic esu. Okay, I hear. Right, so fine. Okay, so whatever the quince was sharkal mine peris, and with any other peris. So okay, so what's the case here? Hechidami. Either chazu lamalei hasmana. If it's chazu, so why does it need hasmana? Either loy chazu, and if it's not chazu, ki azmin lahu my habi. Right. So when he's mazmin, what's the difference? Meaning, if it's not roy, you can be mazmin things from today till tomorrow. Right? If it's not edible, right, then you can't be mazmin it. You're going to say maybe he didn't know whether it's going to be edible or not. If it's muktza that's dried out, right, meaning fruits that dried out, right, but the bailam don't know, mutter, it's still mutter, right? And then it's gonna be considered fine. Not muktza. The chazu. So what must the case be? The chazu, they were edible. And then it became not edible. It got pushed off. Also, and then it became edible again. These dried dates are having a busy Shabbos. And if you say that there's no muktza for half a Shabbos, what do you need hasmana for? Right? Meaning they started off not muktza, then they became muktza, then they go back to being not muktza. So if you hold that there's no such thing as muktza for half of Shabbos, so what do you need hasmana for? Right now they're not muktza. So what's the problem? Elamai yesh muktza. Must be that there is such a thing as muktza for half a day. So then if that's the case, ki azman lu mai havi. If you're gonna prepare them, meaning if you're gonna say you're gonna use them, what does it help? Yeah, it shouldn't help. So like we said before, it's talking about where it was roy and not roy, meaning it was halfway home. The ika inish ta'achli, inish ta'layachli, because there's men that some people will eat it, some people won't eat it. Azmin gali daite. So if he was mazmin it and he prepared it and he said I might eat it, so it's gali daite. Lo azmin, lo gali daite. If he didn't prepare it, then he's not gali daite. Fine. Somer of Zera. Toshima. Okay, so that's what we say. Fine. Now the Gemara brings another raya. Somer of Zera. Yeah. Toshima Mipolin Va'adashim. We're going to bring a proof from beans and different types of beans. Right? That you cook them on Yontif. Polin Va'adashim Meikaru Chazu. Right. So by the way, there's a very interesting thing with this Toshima. Normally Toshima means come in here. If you remember from like elementary school, come in here, we'll prove it from a braysa. Right? This Toshima is not from a braysa. It's not from anything. It's from a metzias. It's from how beans work. Right? It's an interesting thing. Toshima, me pulin va'adoshim. Yeah? The pulin va'adoshim, me kara chazu lochus. Right? In the beginning, like it's lakais. I'm sorry. It's in the beginning. You could have them put them in a kais, which Rashi means is raw. It's called kaisis. Yeah. Shadinu b'kedera. Once you put it into a pot and you start cooking them, then they become inedible. Onto Amud Aleph, onto Chazayin Amud Aleph. Gomar. We should Hachana Rabba. We should learn a little extra and also try and get ahead. So Gomar b'shulayu. Once it gets cooked, then it becomes chazilu. So you see that this thing started off not muktza, then it became muktza, and then it went not muktza again. So there's a very interesting proof here. Why don't you ask from every pot of food that you have on Shabbos night, on Friday night? Every pot is boiling hot, right? You can't. It's not edible. It should be muktza, right? Ula arta achlina minau. But that night you're going to eat from it. Why? Because you're going to cool it down, and it's going to become edible. Yeah. Lost the place. So right. So why isn't that every pot of food that's hot not an issue? So if it's in the man's hands, if it's in humans' hands to finish it, that's not a question. That's not going to be muktza because the person, it's in his control. At least we think it's in our control. That's the musa shaboy, but it's seemingly it's in our control, right? That you could take off the pot whenever you want, and you know that it's going to be cold, so it'll be cool off, and then you'll eat it. So that's not called that it's muksa, because I know I'm going to take the pot off and I'm going to end up eating it. So I didn't give up my das from eating the pot. Right. So again, we're talking about with the dried figs, right? If it's gomer b'dei shemayim, what's the status? Fine. So Rav Yehuda, yeah, Nesiya, yeah. Okay, so that's it. So that was the Gemara Shaila. That was Hillel Shaila. That was Rav Hillel Shaila, right? Meaning God that not be gomer b'dei adam. He wants to know if something by natural became roy and then not roy. So what's the deal? Fine. Now we go back to our previous Machlokes about the moment. So Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, Kavaleyahu Bukhra, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi had a bechor. Shadri lekamei the Rav Ami, and he sent it to Rav Ami. Sover the loy lemefse, and Rav Ami said, "I'm not looking at it, right? Because Rav Shimon holds you don't look at the moment." Amalei Rebbe. Whenever there's a machlokes Rav Yehuda and Rav Shimon, halacha is like Rav Yehuda, so you should look at it. Right? Rav Shimon holds you can't look at it because you can't paskin it, right? But he says, why are you going with Rav Shimon if we know we go like Rav Yehuda? So he went on to the next one, and he sent it to Rav Yitzchak Nafcha. He also said he's not going to look at it like Rav Shimon. So you should look at it, right? So Amar Le Rav Abba. So Rav Abba said to Rav Zrika, "My time why didn't you leave the Rabbanon and be machmer to do the like Rav Shimon and not look at it? Why you keep running around looking for Heterim, right? Why are you passing like Rav Shimon? And what do you have in your hand that says we should pass like Rav Shimon? Meaning, who says that we should pass like Rav Shimon? He said, because Rav Zera said Allah is like Rav Shimon. Amar man dahu. So somebody who heard this, right? It's interesting. Rashi says that it's one of the Talmidim heard this, and we don't know which Talmud it was. So he says, "Aski va'esek lahasam." I should be Zoicha and go up to Eretz Yisrael. And I'm going to hopefully learn this from Reb Zera. Yeah? So, Kisalik Lahasam. Right? This is in Yonah Diyayim, all the guys trying to get into Brisk. Right? So, it's Yonah Diyayim. They hope to get to Eretz Yisrael and go to Brisk and hear, the Torah straight from the Brisker's mouth. So, that's what he was hoping. Said, I'll hear from Reb Zera. So he got there to Yisrael, and he found Reb Zera. Amalei, Amar Mar, Allah Reb Shimon. Did you say that Allah is like Reb Shimon? Amalei, loy. He says, no. Anom Mistavra Amri. I just said, it seems to me like the Allah should be like Reb Shimon, and I never gave out a final psak that it should be like that. So the Gemara says, meaning this is Reb Zera continuing now. Why do you think the Allah should be like Reb Shimon? If you don't see the mum from Erev Yom Tov, it's not considered muchon because Tani love a braysa b'lashon chachamim, and the braysa said the same opinion as chachamim. So chachamim, we always know we go with the majority. Shema mina mistaber kavasei. So mistama the halacha is like Reb Shimon because chachamim be passing like the chachamim who are the rive, and Reb Shimon is passing like that. So that's why Reb Zera thought that it should be like Reb Shimon, even though he didn't come out with a final psak like that. Fine. So my havila, what's the bottom line? Every time it says my havila, it's like, okay, what is the deal? Are we allowed to look at a mum on Yom Tov or not? So Rabbi Yosef Tashamat Talia Ba'ashu Ravarvi. It's totally in literally means Ashli Ravarvi is a term normally used for Rashi says that's big ropes, strong ropes, which means that the Gedolei Adar, that's basically what it means. And you can't, and you have to deal with what they have to say. Amar Rav Shimon ben Pazi, Amar Rav Yeshua ben Levi, Amar Rav Yosef ben Shaul, Amar Rebbe, Hashem Kehila Kedisha de Yerushalayim. He said in the name of the Kehila Kedisha Yerushalayim, Rav Shimon and Chaverov, Rav Shimon and Chaverov, Amru, they said Allah Rameir, Allah is like Rameir. Yeah, which is what you're going to see in a minute. Rameir held that if, let's say, somebody shechted the animal before the expert checked it out, then he checked it out and saw it was a mum. Is it kosher now or not? Again, he's supposed to wait for the right. Exactly. There's going to be a knas or not. I told he's on the ball tonight. Right. So is it going to be a knas? So Rameir holds that there's no knas. So he's saying Reb Shimon held like Rameir. Amru, right? So they said, what is this case here? Right? The Kehila Kedisha Yerushalayim was much older than Reb Shimon ben Menashe. Right? So how can they be quoting Reb Shimon ben Menashe? Right? Historically, I'm sticking with the historical theme. It doesn't work out. Ella b'shitas Rameir Amrua. Must be that they were saying it in the sheet of Rameir. Right? Yeah. So let's see what this means. The Tanan Hashaykhet is a bechor. Somebody shechts a bechor va'achakach heres muma, and then afterwards he shows the mum. Rabbi Yehuda Mater Rameir Omer Hoyel v'nishchat shaloi alpi mumcha aser. Right? Since Rabbi Yehuda says, Motor Rameir says, since he shechted it without a mumcha, it's aser. Alma kasav Rameir riyas bechor lav kariyas treifa. The looking of a bechor is not like the riyah of a treifa. Riyas bechor mechayim, because the looking at a bechor is when it's alive. Riyas treifa la'achar shchita. The riyah of the what do you call it is after treifa. Umina, and we learn out from that. Riyas treifa afilu b'yomtiv. Riyas bechor me'erev yomtiv. Looking at a treifa is even on yomtiv, and riyas bechor is on erev yomtiv. So meaning the Kehila Kedisha, right, is really going with Rameir, right? And then Mamela Rav Yehuda is going like, is going to be a Das Yachid, so that's what it means. Are we talking about Ryan Mumin? Yeah, Beknasa Pligi. It's not talking about a Ryan Mumin. They're not having a Machlokes about whether you're allowed to look at Mumin. It's about a Knas. Do we give the guy a Knas for shechting the animal before he had it checked out? When there was the mum was in the eyes, and nobody has an argument that it's awesome. Because what happens is even after the animal's shechted, the expert goes and looks at it and says, "Oh, there was a mum in the eye." A mum in the eye can get bad after death quickly, so it's not a proof, right? If it's other type of mumin, so that you can, meaning an autopsy would work. And an autopsy for the eye will not work because it can get very bad after death very quickly. It's not a proof that mum was there before it was alive, before it was dead. I'm sorry. The Machlokes is mum shebeguf. Rameir sama bezrina mum shebeguf or the mum shebeayin. We have to make a gzeira that just like we don't know what's going to be with the eyes. So we're going to make a gzeira for the guf too. Rabbi Yehuda Sava like us, there's no gezerah, and if the mum is found on the body, even after the shechita, then we're going to allow it to go. Okay, so Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak B'Snisa Nami Teika. The Mishnah is also like that. Katani Remei Reimer Hoyel B'Nishchat Shlei Al Pi Mumcha. Since it was shechted Shlei Al Pi Mumcha, also it's also Shmamina Knasahu the Kakonis Shmamina. So we hear from this that it's a knas. Yeah, fine. Should we just? Okay, I guess it's enough. Yeah, we'll stop over here.
What happens if somebody else shechted it?
Not the owner.
Yeah.
Bechor, you're right. It shouldn't be a knas, right?
Why he has to pay you for it? He has to pay for your damages. You don't get to have it.
What?
He didn't damage it. Now he could eat the animal. He didn't damage anything.
No, maybe the knas stands and he has to pay you for that.
Saying the knas. I don't know.
Wait, when I
I'm
said
not
something
sure.
like this by Meiser and the Levi taking it out of the field, you yelled at me. Now you're asking someone else to shut his animal?
You're different. We're allowed to yell at you.
Wasn't the
Okay.
same case. It wasn't this. It's not the same case. The lady had Nagias. This person has no Nagias. He's a shaykhit. No, he got a trigger happy, so he went down, shechted it, and that's it. He went home and then had Yom Tov Suda. Nothing.
This guy's mamash Ghana. The Levi has a shaykhus.
Why is he a guy? He's not a Ganav. He gave the guy, not a guy can eat a behemoth. He's not a guy. What did he do wrong?
Whoa, I missed what your case is.
Okay, so
Reuben owns an animal.
You
Shimon's
shouldn't
a
scream
shaykhus.
at. You shouldn't scream at me if you don't know my case. What are you screaming at me for?
I have the same feeling sometimes. So, what is your case?
They're waiting for the Rav to paskin on this animal, right? Whatever the case, the 45 different cases we had. A shaykhid walks past, jumps in the hole, shechs the animal, and goes weiter. Now he has an animal to eat, and he didn't do anything wrong. So what are you going to knas him for? Maybe you want to knas the shaykhid, but the shaykhid didn't profit anything. He didn't.
Wait,
You
the
know,
shaykhid knew it had a mum?
Yeah, the shaykhid has tefiyah zayin also, not just the robe. The shaykhid has tefiyah zayin. Shaykh said, "What are you guys standing around here? You jumped down, shechted, and didn't go home."
Wait, but if it needs a psak, then he's over to braysa by shachting it. No? You can't shacht the bechor. I don't understand this whole sugi about him. I don't know what's going on.
Fine. So I'm sorry.
Oh,
for you.
now you're
How
talking.
can you
Now you're
shech this
mechavan to
animal?
me, Gershon, that you don't understand the whole sugya. You're mechavan to me. I don't understand the whole sugya either. Givaldik.
How can
We
you
finally
shech
see eye to
anything
eye.
here? That's an issa deraisa to shech the bechor if it doesn't have a mum, no?
He felt
it's a
it had
deraisa
a
what?
mum.
Yeah, but until it's paskin, it's the tam. That's what this whole sugya says. How can this guy go shech? He's over.
He's
I don't
over
know.
what? What's he over? He shechs it, and 1 minute later, the Rav says it has a mum.
You're not allowed to shech the bechor.
It wasn't a bechor anymore.
Did he know it was a bechor?
No, but it needs a psak to say it has a bal mum. I mean, if it doesn't
No, but
need
he's
the
saying so.
psak,
Some
this
guy
whole
decides
mishna
to
falls
shecht
apart.
it.
The guy was over in issa deraisa. Now that he's over, even with the Bailam, I don't know what happened.
Okay, good. So he doesn't know it's a mum. He sees people standing around the hole, and he says, "Oh, wait, I'm a shaykhid. This eat is going to lose a $500. This animal's going to die." He jumps down and he shechs it. Then he goes home.
So then I don't. But does that need a psak? If it's so pashut, does that need a psak?
It's not. Don't. It's not push. What do you want it? Please.
I don't
please.
know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what's going on over here.
Okay, good. So then you don't.
Who's on
paskin
first? Who's on
Don't
What's the
paskin on
case?
my-
Who's on first?
Don't paskin on
Does it
my
need a
case
psak or
then if
not?
you don't know
If
what's
it needs a
going
psak,
on.
if it needs a psak, you can't check it. It's an issa deraisa. If it doesn't need the psak, then what are we waiting for Rabbanim for? And either way, it's Einem and
I don't
Amuchim.
know. I got to figure out this the 8-day thing. We got to figure out. Guys, we got to figure out the 8-day thing.
Oh, talking about that, can I ask Rav Aaron, can I borrow this case as a shaila? I saw it somewhere today, writing on Chalamayit, when it comes to Torah. I saw it brought down two different ways. Either one is allowed to or one must. I wanted to know, Batsim, should Rav Aaron write down on the side of his Gemara this shaila? When it comes to writing on Chalamayit, is us. When it comes to certain things, it's mutter. But I saw brought down that when it comes to writing down Chidushei Torah, some say it's mutter, some say not only is it mutter, it's a chiyuv to write on Chalamayit.
Okay.
You ever saw that, Tzviagiv? No, I'm just wondering. For next time, every time I at least I can say for myself, I get a lot of ano when Rav Aaron quotes something from 8 years ago from the side of his Gemara. I just saw, is it a chiyuv for Rav Aaron to write down this kasha that he had on the side of his Gemara? Or is it just mutter, Chalamayit? Writing on Chalamayit, Shaila.
Who said it was Cholamayid then?
Then why can't he do it? Why can't
I'm
he?
saying
Should
now.
not have Chol Hamoed. It's a davar of it. No?
That's I'm saying, is it just mutter or is it a chiyuv to write kedusha Torah?
Yaakov, what do you
I
mean,
heard very
Dover of it? Rabbi Aaron is so smart, he's not going to forget it after. He's going to remember it and write it Matzah Yom Tov. No?
Gershon, you're
second,
getting into the Briskerov now.
Hello, I heard a very interesting thing about writing today. I heard that they did a Chnas Sefer Torah here by the Mavakshe minions. Yaakov, you heard about this?
No.
And they didn't finish the Sefer Torah because the Zakatinsky Paskin they shouldn't be writing on Yom Tov. So they didn't finish it.
What was the Hamavi?
So what they have to Achnos to say for Torah for what?
They like having a party. They can have another party
Okay.
afterwards.
They,
I don't
they
know.
want to spread the COVID. They want to spread the COVID.
Right, the COVID is going over there. Jacob, I would have thought that for Achnas Sefer Torah you could write in the letters noises.
No, I know it's a tumult in the Paiskim. It's a tumult in the
Oh, yeah?
Paiskim. Have it, yeah. Yeah.
The Ma'aseh Tiaga we had where it was mutter then usser was also by the esrog. Almanas, we had where you had the matana almanas
right.
lahafser. And if you don't give it back, you made a bracha, you were yaitza, now you're no longer yaitza.
I hear. But that's okay. I guess that's man-made.
It's a little backwards, but
Is
it's
it
the same
man-made?
idea.
No.
Your mom is Gershon, so
Right.
that's what the Briskerov said about Shalosh Shuddis, no?
What?
Somebody said to him, Rebbe, you can be Yotze Shalosh Shuddis saying it's a piece of Torah. He says, yeah, but you can't slug up a herring, you know. Once you ate the herring, you Yotze Shalosh Shuddis. If they slug up your Torah, you didn't have Shalosh Shuddis, no? So the same thing you say. So I'm going to write my,
Fair enough.
Harwitz Kedushay Torah, right? Then you come and give me Malchus Martis, because
No.
you wrote Shtus in our mind, no?
That's
You
great.
didn't hear. Well, what did he say?
Who says you
Who's
can't write Purim Torah on Sukkot?
Yeah. So Rabbi Stein, I got to sign off. I dropped off Mora Ravos. If anything else is needed, just have someone come and cut.
Yeah, Jesse, how late
All
can
right,
we
thank
come?
you,
I don't want you
appreciate it.
shooting my kids.
I'm not shooting anybody. I'm going to sleep.
I think there's enough here for hurt.
There's a pushka
I'll
by
text.
the barbecue. Right next to it, there's scissors. Take till your heart's
Peretz,
content.
it seems like we have enough, Peretz,
All right, fine.
for you. I think we have enough for you.
A good kvittel, everybody.
Yeah, have a
You
good one.
too.
everybody.
Good fiddle.
Rebaran.
Yeah.
Can I write your kasha on the side of my Gemara?
It's fine. Mutalach.
El
There
Shikaya.
you go.
Tiago, am I allowed to spray my yard?
Shana Rab
with
is kind of a little bit Tovim.
That's right. By the look of the cigars, it looks like Zeiss Hanukkah too.
To me, it looks like they're doing the Kataris, but all right.
Yaakov, am I allowed to spray my yard? Attaches to the hose for the bugs. I don't know if you saw me going crazy over here. I got attacked by all these bugs out in the sukkah. It's like crazy. I sprayed it right before Yom Tov.
Parrots, we see you going crazy all the time.
Yeah, but now he's really bugging out.
Very good.
There
Sorry.
you go. There you
Yeah, I
go.
can see. I got
All
one
right.
of these. I got to attach it to a hose. I'm allowed to water it. I don't care to water the grass. My grass in the
I
backyard.
understand.
Is,
What are you doing? What you attach
this
what to
spray.
the hose?
You attach this to the hose and you spray your yard.
I can't. You're blocked on my video. I just have you with a cigar. Oh,
Yeah.
you attach it to your hose? Yeah, that's fine. You're not watering the grass.
I don't care to water my grass, at least not in the backyard. It's mostly mud.
Yeah, you could do it.
Say,
Oh, Paris, can you shut the recording, please?